This is 12-year-old Mike Mentzer, Mr. America, Mr. Universe, and top IFBB pro with amazing God-given genetics, thickness all throughout the chest, arms, massive calves, unlike normal folk. Welcome back to Mr. America Hart. I'm John Hart, and today I'm going to give you the answer. Did Mike Mentzer, high-intensity training trainer, advocate, professional bodybuilder, did he, the inventor of heavy-duty training, did he leave anything behind, any indication that he was going to downgrade, upgrade, change his routines, change his mind on any corner he put himself into with regards to training, what he was teaching people? Did he leave anything behind when he passed? I'm going to get into that in 1 second here, but for now, I'm going to let you know. For those who don't know, Mike Mentzer was a friend of mine. He also was my trainer at one point in time. We lived on the same block. Mike was a Mr. Universe. He was a runner-up in the Mr. Olympia. He was top 5 Mr. Olympia a couple of times. A top bodybuilder in the late 70s, early 80s. And he was also sort of a renegade with regards to his advice on training. He went against the grain. At the time, everybody listened to Arnold Schwarzenegger and his style of training, his recommendations, which were basically based on training more, using a decent amount of weight, moderate weights, but training more, training 6 days a week, training up to 2 hours at a shot. Those workouts were lengthy in nature and 20 sets per body part, up to 20 sets, and that was being done twice per week per body part. Yow. So a lot of work, a lot of injuries. There were some, torn muscles, soft tissue injuries. There was a lot of problems over the years, and a lot of the older men today, they sure have the walk. They look like the walking wounded to prove that fact. So why am I even getting into answering this question today about did Mike Mentzer leave anything behind, any indication that he was going to change his workouts, or did he have any hidden HD turbo, heavy-duty turbo written works on the side? Well, here's what happened. All right. When Mike had passed, he had left behind a bunch of books, a bunch of writings, a whole bunch of materials with his successor in successor in heir of all things, Mike Mentzer, heavy duty, and she became Mentzer Sharkey Enterprises, and her name was Joanne Sharkey. Joanne was a wonderful woman. She was a trusted sidekick of Mike Mentzer, like a big sister, actually, to him and to Ray Mentzer at the time. Ray was Mike's younger brother by 1 or 2 years, and he was also a Mr. America and a professional bodybuilder. But Joanne kept an eye on the brothers, and once they passed, Joanne was in possession of everything heavy duty and everything Mike Mentzer. And the story goes that I worked for her for about 9 years, between the years of 2009 through, that would be 12 years, 2009 all the way through 2021, when she ultimately passed. And before she went to heaven, though, we talked quite a bit, and as I was still working for her, and I was in the middle of moving. I had decided I was moving to Texas, and doors opened up for me and my family, and so I was on my way from California to Texas and packing it all up and ending the life I had in California at the time. So Joanne, made it clear to me that she had some things for me. She didn't say what, but the interesting part of the story is that she passed, and all happened within a month or so. And when she did, what she did leave behind for me was kept in a little storage locker, and I went to go and I checked it out, and it was a exploration of sorts, because this locker was filled with everything heavy duty and Mike Mentzer and his personal collection of books, his personal collection of photographs. I have quite a collection in my storage unit now of his pictures, private, personal, as well as his collection of what's sitting right in front of me right here, which I'm going to tell you in a moment. And I searched through everything, went through everything to see what was there. And because I could only take so much, and nor was I willing to take any more than whatever I could take at the time. So in any event, I continued to hold on to that storage facility and pay for it until such times I could go and retrieve things I wanted to retrieve. And I did. Eventually, I went and I searched through everything. And to answer the question directly, was there any secret notes or any hidden indication that Mike was upgrading or changing his heavy-duty training systems, workouts, or that he regretted going down the road of making these workouts so minimal? Because honestly, some of those workouts, you've seen my video. I'll put a link down below for the one I did on this one workout to avoid, and it was one of his. And as good a friend as I was with him, and I do advocate for his training protocols, this one workout was just a negative. And I give you all the reasons in that video. But a lot of people seem to speculate that Mike, because this one workout was so brief in nature and had so few exercises, we're talking about 2 exercises, maybe 3, performed once every 7 days. And it wasn't the same workout. It was 2 or 3 different workouts performed every 7 days. So, one workout, wait 7 days, another workout, wait 7 days. In the course of a month, you're working out 4 times. And so now most of us know that's just not enough. And Mike, of course, in his rational way of thinking, he believed that it was the ultimate eventually, after you went past the point of squeezing out just everything you could with his other training routines. Genetically, you were near the roof, in other words. Or you were one of those people that could hardly ever recover from a workout, in which case it would be appropriate for you to only work out once a week. So there are some what he called albinos of recovery, meaning they had very limited ability to recover from workouts or from any stressful situation for that matter. So he was using the word albino, by the way, not offensively, but to indicate that on a spectrum of skin tones, we had very, very dark, and then the albino would be the exact opposite of very, very dark. And each can tolerate sunlight to a different degree. More can be had on the dark skin, less can be had on the light skin. And it's the same with working out and recovery. There's some of us who recover boom, 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 very quickly, and are ready to work out again in a matter of hours, days. And then the majority, the 84% in that bell curve, the majority of us, we need a few days before we can work out again properly. And then off on this end over here, all the way down to the person who has no pigment in their skin. They can't tolerate any sunlight, much like an individual who cannot tolerate a lot of exercise. Okay, so that's the workout. It was called the consolidated routine. And many have speculated that Mike was either going to go one of 2 ways eventually. And that was either he was going to backtrack and say, no, it's not enough work. And he was going to go back to his ideal routine, which was basically a one workout every 4 or 5 days. Or the other group of people seem to feel that Mike would have gone off the rails even further and said, you need to work out only once every 2 or 3 weeks, which is, in my opinion, just ludicrous, because no, the answer is no to that one, okay? And as a matter of fact, in going through all of his writings and all of the things that were saved, everything, even down to personal cards and letters, it was kind of sad, but in going through all of it, it clearly indicated there was nothing that Mike had written other than what was actually presented publicly, which was, in the end, he was halfway through the high-intensity training Mike Mentzer Way book. That one I'll put up on the screen, and I'll put a link down below where you can find that book. He was halfway through with that one, and after he passed, Joanne and John Little finished that book for him. And so that's the final work that Mike had done. And in that book, you have a combination of 2 different types of workouts. One was the ideal routine, and then at the very end, he goes over the consolidated routine. Just exactly the one I just mentioned, which, no, is not very good. But in my opinion, after going through all of the things that he had, all of the writings, all of the books that he had, there were no indication whatsoever that he was going to go and change his mind on what he had written in the last year of his life. So that is pretty much that, okay? The principles that he wrote about, he believed, and Joanne believed. Joanne stood on this right up till the day she passed, that principles are principles, much like, scientific principles have been established in our world. And when you establish a principle, it's scientifically proven to happen over and over again with precise measure. And there were certain principles that Mike applied to his workouts, especially in high-intensity training the Mike Mentzer way. There's a section called the 7 Fundamental Principles. That section describes principles that apply to all human beings. There we go. And well worth reading once you get your hands on that book. But what did we find? I'm going to share with you now. Besides the pictures, there were some flash drives, there were some seminars, there were some personal cards and letters that were written to a few people that they're not going public, and nor am I the type of person who keeps these things. I'm not a collector of sorts, let's say. I'm just not the biggest person who collects items, let's say. But Joanne knew that I would appreciate a lot of these things. I'm going to do the right thing here, which is this. Right here, we have this encyclopedia, it looks like. It's in this suitcase I have in front of me, a basket, a bag of encyclopedias, it looks like. However, take a look at that, and you'll see it says Iron Man, and then it says volumes, 30, 31 volumes. Oh, what was this one? 38, 39. And what are these volumes? Well, any of you who have read Iron Man magazine would know that Peary Rader separated out those issues into volumes and issues within each volume. And so I have Mike Mentzer's personal collection of Iron Man magazines going back to 1956. And this collection starts off with volumes 22, and it goes all the way to the very end, volume 39. Okay, so the years that this covers is 1956. There's only one issue from 1956. Woo! And for some reason, I'm getting really hot while I'm sitting behind this. But there's only one issue from 1956, and then it quickly jumps to 1959. There's several issues in there from 1959, and you could tell how Mike had these things bound up in encyclopedia format. Okay, they're book bound, and they do have the original covers to them. And I'll show you a few as I'm talking, so you can see for yourself. I just randomly opened up this book, and you can see we have the front cover of the March 1979 issue right over here, right, with Dave Johns on the cover. And we have the back issue. Remember, they're in succession. The back issue of the year before, or the month before that, with Carlos Rodriguez on the back cover of that magazine. So they're bound cover to cover, straight through, with all of the good stuff written in between. All of the old advertisements, all the old articles are in here. And this personal collection also comes with some fun. Mike had actually stuck some yellow highlighter sticky notes in certain pages. A couple of them had some short writings on them, but he wrote some notes directly in some of these books as well. So that's kind of interesting. So for the real collector, that's who I'm addressing right now. For the real collector, this is a find right here. For me personally, I'm not bound to, I guess I just don't appreciate having collections of things, okay? Some personal items that I would have in the course of my lifetime, sure, but small amounts of those things. And in Mike's case with all of these things, this is just one of the things that I know I'm not going to keep eventually. And I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it, but I've pulled it all out from storage just to show you guys. And I'm going to be, deciding on what to do with this soon. So I'm open to suggestions. If any of you all are a real collector and you really want to, get a hold of me, you can go to my website, MrAmericaHeart.com, and go right ahead to the Contact Us page and shoot me an email and, give me any idea of what you may have in mind. But this entire collection spans from 1956 to 1980. So, what's that, 25, 26 years. And most of it is back-to-back. Once we get to 1961, they're all back-to-back, straight on through. So he had quite the collection. Mike was a real Iron Man guy, and he appreciated the old school methods as well as the old school bodybuilding. And so interesting is some of those pictures of him when he was a child, a young teenager. I have those, and I'll be putting them up soon as well. Well, getting back to those pictures that I told you that I had found in that locker, I have to tell you, okay, that Mike, even as a young 15-year-old, his genetics were phenomenal, phenomenal. Even by his own admission, he was natural at the time, and he had not touched a steroid. He said it would be 3 or 4 years before he even touched anything. So at 15, just take a look at this picture, okay? It was an amazing physique, and especially considering that at the time he was just using barbells and dumbbells. So the genetics that he had, just getting into it, just proves, no, it wasn't all drugs. And yes, there are some among us who have amazing genetics, born to do this in bodybuilding, born to compete, born to be odd. And everybody else speculates that they have a super secret magic sauce. But I've seen some full-grown men who were taking the steroids that didn't look as good as that picture right there of this 15-year-old Mike Mentzer. So we've seen quite a bit of those of Mike when he was younger. But I think this is what Mike looked like at 12 years old. You can see in his own handwriting, his age was 12, and he weighed approximately 110 to 115. And he questioned whatever his measurements were. You can see the thickness throughout his chest, shoulders, triceps, as well as his calves. And the width of his lats were just God-given. These are just genetics. At 12, he could not have been training for that long. And if he was, it was with some simple barbell dumbbell action and probably not doing a whole bunch correctly. So this is the physique that he came into the world with. You can see him doing this vacuum pose, doing a rope, it's called, isolating his abdominals with that thickness in the chest, the shoulders, and the arms. And the basis or foundation for that Mr. America, Mr. Universe, and top IFBB pro physique was laid at that point when he was born, and even as a young teenager can be seen clearly in this old set of photographs from 60 years ago. These have never been published, if I'm not mistaken. He may have, at some point in his life, shared them with people. I don't know. But these are pretty cool. So it's a nice find, and it was sort of, having that feel of, looking for Al Capone's, lost treasure or something, or looking for, like I say, Indiana Jones, the Lost Temple of Doom. But no, it wasn't anything like that. There was a lot of, I have to also tell you, that all of the books, Mike was an intellect, right? And you could see everything that affected him, all of the books that shaped his personality. Of course, there was a ton of philosophy. Ayn Rand, of course, Nietzsche. There was a ton of philosophy that he had, books and pamphlets. There was, books on science, basic science, physics that were there, biomechanics. Just really. So these were the type of things that I had no use for these things, of course. So I didn't take them. But we went through them just to check and see in case there was, we shook the books out just in case there was some super secret hidden notes in there. So, but that's not the case. So I'd like to say that it was, some could say it was a fruitless, collection of things that he left behind for me, but I don't think so. I think this collection is pretty amazing, And I've read quite a few of these magazines that I never saw going way back, and it's helped me greatly. So I've held on to these for a while now, and since 2021, and I've taken my time, and I know that soon I'll be letting them go. And so at least these are going to go for sure. This encyclopedia set. So anyway, as I said, you can go ahead and make of it what you will. And I hope you enjoyed this video about some of the things that I found that Mike left behind for me through Joanne, I should say. And, I'm very thankful for her and thankful for her thoughtfulness and for all the things that she ever did for me. And I do appreciate it, and for my family. So that's it for today. From my heart to you, John Hart. Listen, before you go, off to my left, you're going to see a disc pop up. That is the subscribe button for my channel. If you're liking all the videos I've done over the years, okay, you've seen about 350 or now I'm coming up with 400 videos somewhere along the way there. If you're liking those, please give that thing a tap, and YouTube will notify you anytime I have new videos pop up. Down off to your left, you can see down over there a thumbs up button. Please give that thumbs up a tap and turn it blue.